Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. So the session is on. The session is on. We're just waiting for all of us to join and settle into the class. So we going to start in the next 1 minute. So hi everyone and welcome. I'm really glad that all of you are able to join us today. Before we get started, I just want to quickly mention what Passcode does. And as you all know, or if you've actually looked us up, what we do is we help students and nurses move to Germany and the US. But today we are going to be focusing on the German pathway and as well as doing a free class. Today we are joined by one of our tutors who's in Germany. He'll be doing the class shortly. His name is Jonathan. So thank you so much, Jonathan. Um, we can go ahead and start the class now. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, so guten Abend alle. Good evening, everyone. I hope majority who are there, you have some knowledge or some background in the German language. So we just want to do now something in general, like see how can you pass this language or what can you do so that now you improve maybe in sprechen, schreiben, or even if it is lesen, or even if it is hören. So I hope now majority here. Let's see majority, which level? So I can see beginner, there is beginner up to base Y. I can see some people saying here in A2, A1, and so on. Yeah. Base Y. Yeah, beginner A1, starting B1, A1. Yeah, beginner B1. Yeah, so we're let's say everyone has done something. So meaning I will handle every level. I will talk even to the base Y person so that they also can get tips on what can they do best so that you improve. So with this language, for those who are in A1 and A2, the German language, the strength of learning it, where you can master it, is only in A1 and A2. A1 and A2. So there is where now you can practice even on speaking very well. You can speak well in A1 and A2. Let no one not discourage you that in A1 and A2 you can speak. You can speak in those levels very well. So first thing, what makes expression difficult is you will find someone translates from their head direct. You want to think of a word in English is when you think of the German version. Already you know the German. You know ich is I. Then why do you have to think of that I in English? It is because you are programmed always, I must think in English. So what first can make you improve is mastering the German sentence structure. Mastering German sentence structure. That is the first thing that improves the expression. When you have the sentence structure, you can construct simple sentences. You can construct from simple, in A1 we just do simple sentences like ich bin krank, ich gehe zur Schule, ich komme morgen. Now those are simple sentences für A1. And now, when you master the sentence structure, how is this sentence structure done? Then you can easily speak without thinking of a word in English. You can easily speak. So the first thing to know this language is master the sentence structure. Let it be in your head that you can know that this is ich. After the ich, I put a verb in this form, and that is how it becomes. So the first sentence structure is verb conjugation. If you are in A1, even up to base Y, and you have a problem in verb conjugation, that is where your problem comes from when you want to speak. But when you can conjugate a verb easily, meaning you can speak, what is only now making you not to speak is fear. Maybe you fear that when I speak, I get it wrong. But by speaking, by practicing, is where you overcome the fear. You overcome the fear by just speaking more. You don't overcome that fear by keeping quiet and so on. So when you try and speak, then you will overcome that fear slowly by slowly. So first thing is you must know conjugation. And that is where people now forget. That is what people forget. And conjugation is always the present tense in English. And you will realize when you conjugate a verb in English, it has two meanings. So that is why I say no direct translation. When you want to be perfect, no direct translation. First, always follow the rule of having that subject verb. The confidence only comes when you practice. The confidence can't come when you keep quiet. So start with simple sentences. Start with those simple that you know. If it is, you know how to say, ich esse Kartoffel. That is what you find every time you want to say. Then it will help you to gain that confidence. Every time you learn a new sentence, practice how to speak it. Practice how to speak it so that now that confidence you can build it slowly by slowly. You should not fear, because the Germans, even when you speak something that is wrong, they don't always laugh. They just help you. They can correct you, but some can't correct you. They will just assume, and you can know that you are speaking maybe a good German because they will just answer you. They'll just reply well, and you won't realize that, oh, I've made a mistake. So first thing is having that consistency in learning this language. Now, when you are learning Deutsch, when you are learning the German language, what do I mean with consistency? Is that you must learn this language every time, every minute. And how can you learn the language every minute? You will realize it reaches a point, even the word table, that you know you must think of it in English. You must think table is when you think the word dish. So you find you know vocabularies only when you are asked, but when you see them, it takes you time. So learning the language quick is by seeing. When you walk around, you see people walking, try say that sentence in Deutsch. Ich sehe die Leute. Die Leute laufen. When you are cooking, try say that activity you are doing auf Deutsch. Ich koche. Ich koche heute. Ich koche für meine Familie. When you are sitting down, try say what you are doing auf Deutsch. Ich setze mich auf dem Sofa. Auf das Sofa. So you will realize that every time you are speaking Deutsch, every time your mind is speaking Deutsch, every time your mind is speaking Deutsch, and with that, you will adapt to it. With that, you are making it to be the first language. So you only learn through that manner, that now every time you are doing an action, the German word must come in your head. When you do that, maybe let's say for a month, you will see a very big improvement. That is the first tip. Learn by seeing, learn with actions. Always, every action you do, make sure you can say it auf Deutsch. Because there are some actions you do daily, on a daily basis. Ich arbeite, ich arbeite. When you don't practice by saying ich arbeite, it will reach a point you can't say that word because you've forgotten it. You have a list of very many words in your head. So always learn by looking at something, observing. You look at your environment. You see maybe there are houses. You say, ich sehe Gebäude. Ich sehe das Kind. So always when you do that, you will find that your vocabularies are improving, your confidence is improving. Another thing is doing writings. The German language, you must learn it every day. And how can you speak? The challenge of not being in an environment like you are in Germany, or maybe you are learning the German online, you are alone, you have no one to speak to, then you find that this is very difficult. I cannot improve in expression. You can still improve in expression. What should you do? You should take just a pen and a paper. Avoid translator, avoid using phone to translate and so on. Start writing sentences, simple sentences. Was kochst du? Ich koche Kartoffeln. So you ask yourself the questions and you answer the questions by yourself. So, meaning that on a daily basis, you must do a writing. You must write something. You must write something on a daily basis. So, that is what now will make you improve. On a daily basis, you write something. Another thing is on now the timing. The language does not have time where you say, I will read the German in the evening. We don't have time. And that is why I said you read or you learn every hour, every minute. What you see, remember a German word should come in your head. If you only want to say that, now I will only sit down in the evening and read, then that is a poor form of reading, meaning you are just storing words, but you can't use them. So always it is good to store words, yes, but it is also good to use them. When you've learned a new vocabulary, make sure that the following day, that is the word you are repeating, that is the word you are talking about. If you've learned a new sentence, make sure that that is the statement you are saying every now and then, until it will stick. That is one way of mastering the language, and do it with passion. So it doesn't choose, this language doesn't need that you should have maybe some knowledge, or you should have some capabilities to pass it. No, it is that consistency that can help you improve, and the efforts that you put. So first thing in improving your expression, I've said, is interacting with pictures. You interact with pictures. You look at something, you can say it. When you look at something, the Deutsch word can come in your head. Second way is doing writings. Make sure every day, even if you're someone who writes a diary, sit down and take your pen and write diary. Ich koche Kartoffeln. Ich gehe zur Arbeit. Ich arbeite von 8 Uhr bis 5 Uhr. Ich spreche mit meinem Freund. So write every activity that you are doing. And also know the tenses. Present tense. Present tense is the one that goes with the conjugation form. That is the present tense. So that is it on the expression. A question there on the expression before I say what you do on hearing and so on. On the expression, I've said on the confidence, you can only improve the confidence by speaking at least a word or two, and so on. Someone has asked on hearing, how can you improve hearing? With hearing, it needs a regular practice where you listen to much audios. If it is on exam basis, hearing, you need to understand the question. When you understand the question, then you need to listen to the context of that hearing. You don't need to translate word to word. The reason people fail hearing is you've listened to a word, you've heard they've said the word kommen, and now you want to think kommen is to come. The moment you are translating now in your head as you listen, the audio goes faster than you. And with that, you can't pass the hearing. The hearing, you should, in an exam, underline the keyword. In an exam, you underline the keyword. And now, what do? In the keyword, after underlining it, you understand now, what does this hearing need? What is needed? If they have said der Person ist krank. So when someone is krank, there are some words you must listen to. And that is it. When now you have to do maybe here and maybe in base vi in B2, there are some that are played very well, are just played once. What do you need to do? You need to pay attention to the keyword, just like I've said. You identify this question. What does this question needs? It needs me to provide who is speaking here, or this person has said this. Then you underline the keyword, and now on that keyword is where now you pay attention to when they are speaking. In hearing, pay attention to some grammatic. There are some grammatic that plays a role in hearing. When you've learned the passive voice, some hearing will use the passive voice. Some hearing will also use conjunctions or connectors, which are very important there to know. So when you're dealing with hearing, one thing is vocabularies, synonyms, and connectors. Hearing needs you to do regular practice, but also as you do practice on hearing, you must know how connectors are used, you must know the grammar well, and you must have vocabularies, which also goes with synonyms. Because if we have a word like, let me say, Marken. Marken has a synonym which is erledigen. And in the hearing, they have used the word erledigen. For you, you are looking at Marken. Then you will realize that when you don't have those synonyms, when you don't know some important synonyms, then also hearing can become a challenge. So when mostly in B1, the A1 and A2, the synonyms are not much used. But mostly in B1 and B2, if you want to do well in the hearing, you must know the synonyms. The same applies to lesen. Synonyms are much important. So hearing and lesen, I've said synonyms, and that is it. Now, some have asked on conjugation, and I will just explain a little bit on now what I mean with this conjugation. Let me look at my document with the conjugation. Let me look at the document with the conjugation. Just a moment. Okay, so now on the conjugation is what I want to explain for some people a little bit, but someone has asked on pronunciation. A problem with pronunciation, mostly you can sort it with Duolingo. I think Duolingo helps much in pronunciation. Yes, pronunciation is very important. Pronunciation needs, people need to improve in pronunciation for you to master words, for you to be good in Schreiben and everything. You must be good in pronunciation. Pronunciation is very, very, very important for you to, yeah, pronunciation is very, very important. So I will just explain on conjugation. For those who have done R1s, conjugation is always very for those who have done R1s, conjugation, you realize it is the present tense. And now when you check in English, we have different present tense. We have simple present tense. When I say I teach Deutsch, that is present tense, but it is in a simple way. But in a continuous, like now I'm doing it, I say I am teaching Deutsch. That is still present tense. So you realize in German, those two are under one thing. Saying I teach or I am teaching, it is one thing. It is under conjugation. So you must conjugate a verb so that now you have those present tense. And so in the verb conjugation, when you observe the German verbs, they end with en. And when you want now to master the conjugation rules, is now the most important thing. And now when conjugating a verb, when conjugating a German verb, we remove the en from the ending and replace with another ending depending on the subject. So when you are conjugating with the personal pronoun ich, so with the personal pronoun ich, we remove the en and you add an e. So if you want to say a present tense with the word I, you will remove the en and you replace with an e. But the e is already there. So in short, always we just remove an n and you just retain that e. If I have the verb kochen, so I just say ich koche. When I say ich koche, means I am cooking, and it can also mean I cook. It has two meanings in English. So don't do direct translation. Always sentence starts from verb conjugation. And verb conjugation, it is about mastering the conjugation rules. You master the conjugation rules. How should you do when you are doing with ich? Okay, so lernen, ich lerne, ich schlafe, ich esse, ich schreibe, ich nehme. So with the ich, you just remove the n at the end, and now you are saying the present tense. That is what I mean with the conjugation. Then, when conjugating with the personal pronoun do, when conjugating with the personal pronoun do, we remove the en ending and add an st. So do, for those who have been in R1s, you know do means you, and it is the you informal. The you that you use for people you know, for people you relate with well, is the do. When you're addressing the second person, someone you know, your friend or a family, then we do what? We remove the en and we add the st. But when the verb ends with a t or a d, after removing the en, then always we retain that e again. So that one will happen to some because it will give you that difficulty. So like in the verb kochen, it is ich koche with ich. Now with the do, it is removing the en here and you remain with koch and you add st. So du kochst, du kochst, du kochst. You are cooking or you cook. You are cooking or you cook. That is present tense. Spielen, I say ich spiele, that is with the ich, I say you just remove the n at the end. And then du spielst, du spielst. With the do, you just remove the en and you add the st. That is the conjugation rule when you are dealing with the do. So I've said with the ich, you just remove the n at the end of that German verb and you say it with the ich. That is the present tense form. That is the conjugation that I was talking about. With the do, you remove the en, you add the st, and you get with the spielen is du spielst. So that is the rule with the do. But I've given an NB now that when you remove the en, like in the verb arbeiten, when you remove en in arbeiten, you remain with a t at the end. You remain with the word arbeit. So when you add st, it will be difficult to read arbeitst. It is a little bit difficult. Then you only remove that n alone, meaning the e is remaining. So that now when you conjugate, it is like du arbeitest. So with those ones that end with a t or a d, mostly you just remove the n alone and you add the st. So that is the rule with the second person do. Then we have now the biggest category. Biggest category is now when conjugating with er, the er for he, and the z for she, and s for it, and with ear, that is the you for you all, the plural of do. And nouns. Nouns here include names of people, things. We remove the en and add t at the end. And the NB here, when the verb also ends with a t or a d, after removing the en, then you only remove the n alone. So NB that applied up there still applies here. So here is the biggest category. So you only add a t. You only remove en and add a t. You only remove the en and add a t. So, kochen, ich koche, du kochst. Now, zs, man, the man represents nouns. The word man there always, means someone. So it represents nouns. zs, man kocht. Ihr kocht. So you see with zs, you just remove the en from the word kochen, you remain with the koch, and you add t. You get kocht. When I say kocht, he is cooking or he cooks. When I say sie kocht, she is cooking or she cooks. When I say es kocht, it is cooking or it cooks. When you say ihr kocht, you are cooking, which is plural. So that is why I was insisting on saying conjugation is the basic of speaking. How quick you can conjugate is how quick you will speak. When you say already, you can say sie kocht, she's cooking. Now what is remaining is only adding even a word Kartoffel, and you have a sentence. Sie kocht Kartoffel. Sie kocht jeden Tag Kartoffel. So with conjugation now, it is easier to construct sentence. So conjugation will unlock your ability to construct a sentence easily. With conjugation, you will have the ability to construct a sentence easily. Then, when you conjugate now with the z for you formal, the via, that is the we, and the z for they, here we retain the en. There we don't remove the en. If the verb was gehen, it just remains gehen. If the verb was spielen, you just say wir spielen, sie spielen, sie gehen, and that is it. So with the wir zz, the z for you formal, the wir for we, and the z for they, we retain the verb the way it is. There you don't do anything. You just retain the verb the way it is. There you just retain the verb the way it is. You don't do anything. So those are the conjugation rules. So someone asked, how can you improve, or how someone asked that I explain more on conjugation, or how do you master conjugation? There is no secret of mastering conjugation. Conjugation only needs practice so that now it can stick to your head that when I have ish, this is what I do. When I'm dealing with do, this is what I do. So with conjugation, you only need to master the rules, and that is mastering the conjugation. For those who are in beginner, this is a basic. This is where the sentence starts. So master the conjugation well. Okay. Then another thing, so I think on the conjugation I've handled it. I'm checking next on B2. Someone has asked lesson. With the lesson in B2. Now with the B2 lesson, someone has asked about it. How you can make a meaning. In a sentence, what is very key in that sentence. First is always the subject and the verb. Those are the first things that you must understand in a sentence. It is not necessary that in lesson you must understand the full sentence, the exact meaning of word to word. Mostly in B2, you cannot translate a whole German sentence to English so that you get the meaning. It is very difficult. That one, you cannot achieve that. You can only paraphrase what that sentence may mean, but you cannot translate word to get the meaning. You can only paraphrase and say, I think they are talking about this topic. So in the B2 lesson, always a sentence, you paraphrase to get the theme that is going on, but you can't have the meaning of the sentence with word-to-word translation. That is very difficult to achieve. So with the lesson of B2, vocabularies, synonyms, but avoid word-to-word translation. Always deal with reading the whole sentence and analyzing what may this sentence be talking about. That is it on that. So then someone here is asking on the, someone here say, my problem is expression part. I said on expression, as we were starting, I talked of it, and I said there, it needs daily practice. Learn with what you are seeing. Every time you see something, remember the German word. Don't be someone ignorant that you have even a table in the house, but you don't know what that table is, how that table is called. That one, you are not learning Deutsch. When you're learning Deutsch, always you learn from environment. What is next to you, you must know it of Deutsch. So don't be someone ignorant that you don't want to learn. This language needs someone who wants to learn every hour, every minute you want to learn. So that is what can make you improve mostly in the expression. Then the notes, I think I will organize with admin and see maybe if you can get them. I don't know if there is a group. If there is a group, yes, then you can get them. So next is now on sentence structure. That is what I want to touch on just a little bit. Sentence structure. A sentence structure is the most important thing that you must learn how to know. You must know how the sentence structure works. And sentence structure is subject, verb, then object. The subject It is called nominative. If you hear in German, they refer to something like nominative, that is subject. Words like ich, du, der Mann, das Auto, name of someone, those are nominative. Subject, the doer of the action. And a subject always will conjugate a verb. After a subject has conjugated the verb, you add what is called an object, now which the verb is going to affect, or the receiver of that action, which we call the accusative. Accusative is now the receiver. So we have the first sentence structure is always subject and verb. That is the verb conjugation that I've just talked about. That is the first sentence structure. So if you can conjugate a verb, already you can say short sentences. Ich koche, ich schlafe, wir schlafen, weint, ich sehe. Those are sentences. Already you are saying sentences when you can conjugate a verb. Du siehst, and so on. Ich laufe, ich lese, ich komme, ich gehe, wir treffen. Now, those are sentences. Now, that is now you have ich, like here, I have sie spricht. Sie, there is the subject and spricht is the verb. So, when you just add something, you have a complete sentence. So, that is the first sentence structure. Subject, verb, the first sentence structure. Now, after having subject, verb, you add what is called a direct object. Now, this direct object is the one called accusative. Accusative is always direct object in a sentence. With accusative, you are responding to the question was or when. For those who knows, was means what. When someone asks, what are you doing? What are you eating? What are you bringing? I am bringing this. What is he bringing? He is bringing this. So accusative is always responding to the question was. So when someone asks you a question with was, they just need a sentence that has an accusative, a sentence that has a direct object. So when you are dealing with accusative, you need to pay attention to masculine nouns. You need to pay attention to masculine nouns. Why? Because in the accusative, when a masculine noun in German is in the position of accusative, when a masculine noun is in the position of accusative in German, then the article der, which means there in English, will be changing to den. The article ein, which means a or an, will be einen. If it is mine, which is the possessive, will be meinen. If it is kein, it is keinen. So in accusative, always, the masculine nouns, you must pay attention to them. But the feminine, neutral, and in plural, they are just the same. They are just the same. So in accusative, I'm repeating it. Accusative is the direct object. When you have an object, if you know a word like der Apfel, when it is in the position of the direct object, meaning it is coming after the verb, then we call it accusative. When it is coming after the verb, you already have subject, then verb, then now you want to put a noun. When that noun is coming after the verb, it is being affected directly with the verb. When you ask yourself what, a question with what, it is answering to that question. That is called accusative. When it is in that position, if it is a masculine that had there, you wanted to say the apple. You wanted to say, I'm eating the apple. then that there in German it will be den. So always you want to be penalized when you don't use articles. You won't be penalized when you don't use articles, but there are cases where articles are very important. So when it is a or an, it is the ein or it is the einen in accusative. Meinen is for possessive. That one I hope you know. And keinen is for the negating. Feminine, neutral, and plural, they remain the same. Feminine, neutral, and plural, they remain the same. Nothing changes in them. So, for example, I just want you to see some Beispiel here. Ich esse einen Apfel. Ich esse einen Apfel. I have ich is the subject. Esse. What am I eating? Einen Apfel. Was isst du? Einen Apfel. So, einen Apfel there is the accusative. It is coming after the verb there. It is being affected with the noun, with the verb. And so, we know Apfel is a masculine noun, so you don't just say ein Apfel. You will know that you have to use accusative when you are responding to the question was. When you are responding to the question was, you need accusative. When you need a sentence with an object, you need accusative. So when you are responding to the question was, you need an accusative automatic. When you are responding to the question when, whom, you need accusative. So, wir trinken den Saft. That is another accusative sentence. Mein Vater trinkt den Wein. Mein Vater trinkt den Wein. Ich habe einen Apfel. Meine Mutter hat das Brot. So those are sentences now. When you see meine Mutter there is the subject. Hat is the verb. Das Brot is the accusative object. So maybe you can just try some sentence in accusative so that you can practice and see how can you construct sentence in accusative. You are responding to the question was. When you write a sentence in accusative, ask yourself with a question with was. So that is the easiest way for you to practice using accusative, always responding to the question was. So now, asking of questions. You already know how to construct a sentence. Now, asking of questions. And in German, when you are responding to a question, or when you want to respond to a question, pay attention to the subject and the verb. Pay attention to the subject and the verb. Pay attention to the subject and the verb. So, when responding to a question, you for the Schreiben, I will talk about it maybe on the last minutes. I will talk of Schreiben, and what will help you improve Schreiben is also what I'm just handling here. That is what can help you improve the Schreiben. So when responding to a question, pay attention to the subject and verb. And the first type of question that I'll handle are the closed questions. The closed questions, they are the yes or no, the Ja oder Nein Fragen. This Ja oder Nein Fragen, I will start with a positive question. When someone asks a question, positive question meaning it is a question that doesn't have nicht or kein. So when you have a question, and in the question, the subject is du or sie, like now I ask you, kochst du or kochen sie, then in the answer automatic, the subject will be ich. Ja, ich. Kochst du? Ja, ich koche. Kochen sie? Ja, ich koche. So with the do and the sie, with the question, they are asking the second person, you are being asked as a second person, then you just provide the answer with ish. So that is what I was saying. Pay attention to the subject and the verb. So when you already master the conjugation well, when you've mastered the conjugation well, it will be easy even in answering questions. Because the moment someone asks a question with the do, you already know, yes, I'm being asked as the second person. I need now to reply as a first person with ish. When you are talking of someone else, the third person, that is the er zs. When you ask, is he coming? Kommt er? Ja, er kommt. Those ones are always simple because you only maintain the subject, you maintain the verb the way it is. With the third persons, they are the simplest questions to answer because you don't need to think of anything. There, they just need a yes or no, ja or nein. Then you elaborate. You don't need even to change the conjugation. You just maintain the same conjugation. That is why I started by saying, pay attention to the subject and the verb when you are answering the question. With the ear now is the plural of do. Are you coming? Kommt ihr? Now it is plural, you. Kommt ihr? Ja, wir kommen. Now you are answering as we because it is plural. So with the ear in the question, in the answer, it is wir. With wir in the question, it still takes wir in the answer. The z for they is same, still takes z in the answer. So when asking a question in German, you start with the verb and subject, meaning you only interchange the conjugation form. So the verb starts. Kochst du? Ja, ich koche. Nein, ich koche nicht. Kommst du? Ja, ich komme. Nein, ich komme nicht. Gehst du? Ja, ich gehe. Nein, ich gehe nicht. Bringst du? Ja, ich bringe. Nein, ich bringe nicht. Kaufst du? Ja, ich kaufe. Nein, ich kaufe nicht. Kauft ihr? Ja, ich kaufe. Wir kaufen. Nein, wir kaufen nicht. So, bringt er? Ja, er bringt. Nein, er bringt nicht. So, the most important thing is you must know the conjugation. As you can see, all these things are still taking us back to conjugation. And that is why I started with conjugation and said conjugation is very, very important. Conjugation is very, very important. So these are ja oder nein Fragen. When someone asks this type of question, like bringt er, the moment you just say ja, you've already answered that question. Or the moment you say the nein, you've already answered that question. So the ja oder nein Fragen, the yes or no questions in German, they start with the verb directly. And that is it. So those are positive ones. Then now you will have some that now have verb, subject, then object. Kochen. Kochst du eine Pizza? Ja, ich koche eine Pizza. Or nein, ich koche keine Pizza. Now get something right here. When a question has been asked and they have used we call it unbestimmter Artikel. Unbestimmter Artikel, the indefinite article eine. When you are responding with a nein, don't use nicht. Don't say ich koche nicht Pizza. Don't say ich koche nicht Pizza. When the question was kochst du eine Pizza, or even when it was kochst du Pizza, don't say ich koche Pizza nicht. Don't use nicht. We use the keine in this case. So when you have a question that has indefinite article eine, don't use the nicht in the negating form. When you're declining with 9, don't use nicht anywhere. Use the kind will come in front of the noun. When you don't have an article, like now if I said that eine was not there, kost du Pizza? Ja, ich koche Pizza, or nein, ich koche keine Pizza. There we still also don't use the nicht. Okay. Kaufst du eine Banane? Ja, ich kaufe eine Banane. Nein, ich kaufe keine Banane. Bringst du einen Apfel? Ja, ich bringe einen Apfel. Nein, ich bringe keinen Apfel. Kaufst du Wasser? Ja, ich kaufe Wasser. Nein, ich kaufe kein Wasser. Kochst du den Reis? Ja, ich koche den Reis. Nein, ich koche den Reis nicht. Now get it right here again. Now, when a question has been asked with a definite article, the der, die, das, when you want to negate it with the nicht, with the nein form, then here it is allowed to use nicht. And in this case, the nicht goes to the end, like in my 9. Nein, ich koche den Reis nicht. Kochst du den Reis? Nein, ich koche den Reis nicht. So in this case, you are allowed to use nicht. You are only allowed to use nicht when negating a verb, and when negating a verb with an object that has definite article, the der, die, das. And in this case, the nicht goes to the end. Bringst du den Apfel? Ja, ich bringe den Apfel. Nein, ich bringe den Apfel nicht. Kaufst du das Abendessen? Ja, ich kaufe das Abendessen. Nein, ich kaufe das Abendessen nicht. So, isst ihr ein Ei? Ja, wir essen ein Ei. Nein, wir essen kein Ei. So, that is now the Ja oder Nein Fragen, as you can see. That is now the Ja oder Nein Fragen, the yes or no questions. Starts with a verb. So anytime you start a sentence with a verb, know that it is a question. Anytime you start a sentence with a verb, it is a question and it is a yes or no question. Those one were positive one. We have the negative questions, the negating. With the negating, we have negating articles here. And the negating articles that we have is the nicht and the kein. We use kein with nouns, and that is why it goes with the gender. Kein, keine in feminine, kein in plural, keine. Kein in neutral, keine in plural. I have no food or I don't have food. You say, ich habe kein Essen. We have no time. Wir haben keine Zeit. He has no car. Hat kein Auto. Sie hat kein Geld. Ich habe kein Kind. Ich habe keinen Hunger. Ich esse keinen Apfel. So we are negating a noun. I'm not eating an apple. So there we are negating nouns. Okay, so we use nicht with verbs. When negating verbs like ich komme nicht, ich verstehe nicht. But now, when negating like wir essen keinen Apfel, you don't say wir essen nicht Apfel. That is wrong. That is not the correct way. We don't say wir essen nicht Apfel. Wir essen keinen Apfel. We use the keinen form when negating nouns. So, wir essen nicht Apfel, that is wrong. You just say, wir essen nicht. When you are negating adjectives, like mein Vater ist nicht groß, nicht klein, nicht nett. So when negating adjectives also, you use the nicht. So let me now give some examples of questions that are asked now in a negative form. Questions with a negative form. Like this one, kommst du nicht? That is a question in negative form. And now a question in negative form has reply with doch. The doch is now when you are agreeing. Kommst du nicht? Ja, ich komme nicht. Or doch, ich komme. So don't say nein, ich komme. Or ja, ich komme. We always use that word doch. It doesn't have a specific meaning. The doch is only when you are asked a negative questions. Like, are you not coming? And you want to say, I am coming. You will use that doch. Are you not eating? And you want to say, I am eating. You will use that doch. Are you not going? And you want to say, I am going. You will use that doch. So doch is used when you want to give a positive reply to a negative question. I hope that is clear up to there. Okay, so that is asking of questions. Very important. Now, that was the first set of questions. The second is now questions with V-Fragen. V-Fragen are very important for you to know. You must be able to respond to each and every V-Fragen. What do I mean with the V-Fragen? There are words in English, they are called the WH words. The was, wie, wo, warum, welche. Those are the V-Fragen. Now with the V-Fragen, they occupy the first position, followed with the verb, then subject. V-Fragen, then verb, then subject. So the V-Fragen, they are called Informationsfragen. They need certain information. Like if you are asked a question with was, there is what is needed. When you are asked a question with wer, there is what is needed. So that is why they are called Informationsfragen. They are not answered with a ja or nein. They need an information direct. So the first one is was. Was is used to ask about things or persons. And I was talking about was when I was talking about accusative. With was, it needs an answer or it needs a statement that has accusative. Like someone asks, was kochst du? Ich koche Kartoffel. The Kartoffel there is answering the question was. Was ist dein Name? My Name ist, then you say your name. Your name there is answering that question, was. Was kochst du am Montag? Am Montag koche ich Pizza. That pizza there is answering the question, was. So with was, what? It is used to ask about things or actions. The next is wer. Wer means who. With wer, it is used to ask about persons, the doer. So you will understand that questions with wer, it is rare you see they take the sentence structure of Fragen, verb, then subject, because we need that subject. We need to know the doer. So a question with where, we have no doer. So the where itself conjugates the verb. The where itself conjugates the verb in that it removes the en from the verb and you add t. Wer spielt Tennis? Ich spiele Tennis. You've answered that question. Meine Mutter spielt Tennis. Der Mann spielt Tennis. Du spielst Tennis. So with wer, they need the doer of that action. So meaning you just need to answer that question by conjugating the verb with any subject, and then you've answered that question. Not thinking much. You only need to know when I'm responding a question with verse, what do I need? With where, what do I need? The next is with wo. Wo means where. With wo, you need to know the use of prepositions. For you to answer a question with wo, you need to know the use of prepositions. It is used to ask about places. Where? Wo stellst du das Wasser? Ich stelle das Wasser auf dem Tisch. So with wo, for those who have learned up to A2 or the end of A1, you've learned what is called Wechsel prepositions. With those prepositions, you can be able to answer the question wo. Another one is woher. Most people know this woher. Woher kommst du? Ich komme aus Uganda. Ich komme aus Amerika. Ich komme aus Deutschland. So woher, where from? Wo, woher, and wohin. They need you to know the use of prepositions. With those ones, you can't respond to any question without the prepositions. Woher, where from? Some people will ask a question like, wo kommst du her? Some people can separate the wo and the her, but they take the her at the end. But that is always an old form. But some people will use it. But some people ask, woher kommst du? Or woher kommen sie? Only like that. Then we have the wohin. Wohin is where to. Also needs you to know how to answer a question using prepositions. So with wo, woher, wohin, they need you to know the use of prepositions. With wohin, you have the prepositions to. Which prepositions mean to? Preposition like su, nach, those ones, you will need them when you are responding to the question wohin. Wohin gehst du? Ich gehe nach Haus. Ich gehe zum Supermarkt. So with the wohin, you need to know the prepositions that means to and how they are used. With that is when you will be able to answer this question, woher, wohin, and wo, with those prepositions. The next one is wann. Wann means when. Used to ask about time. And here, you need to know the adverbs of time, like days of the week, months, the times of the day, time on the o'clock. Those ones, all of them answer the question wann. When I say wann gehen wir, wir gehen am Abend, or wir gehen in der Nacht. Wann machen wir Urlaub? Wir machen im April Urlaub. So with wann, it gives time. Their time is needed in your sentence. So with wann, you must know how to construct a sentence with it. So then wie viel Uhr, at what time? Wie is how. Wie viele is how many, how much, they need the quantity, wie viel, wie oft, and so on. So you need to know those V-Fragen, which information is needed, so that now answering questions can be simpler for you. And that is it. So on the sentence structure, asking of questions, answering of questions, I've talked about them. So the A1 and A2, I hope you are sorted. That is it. So let me now sort also some people in B1. Some people have asked more of Schreiben. How can you improve in Schreiben? But do you mean Schreiben in general or a specific tile? Because Schreiben there is tile 1, 2, 3. So I don't know which tile do you mean. For those who have asked about B1 Schreiben, right? Maybe there is a specific tile you need to be handled, those in B1 in the Schreiben. But if it is Schreiben as a whole, if it is Schreiben as all tiles, Schreiben will only improve if you do writings. If you understand the question. Now, in the B1 Schreiben, the Goethe one, in the B1 Schreiben, the Goethe, there are 3 tiles. There are 3 tiles. I will just go through them quick. Just a moment. In the tile 1, always you are told maybe there's some information you need to provide. Let me just I like using example so that I see what I'm explaining. Okay, let me take this one. Aufgabe 1. Sie haben Ihren Freund oder ihrer Freund lange nicht geschrieben, weil sie einen Unfall hatten und im Krankenhaus sind. Schreiben Sie ihm oder ihr darüber. So, wie have you been told, beschreiben Sie, wo sind Sie und wie geht es Ihnen? Begründen Sie, warum ist der Unfall passiert? Schlagen Sie Ihrem Freund oder Ihrer Freundin vor, Sie zu besuchen. Schreiben Sie eine E-Mail, schreiben Sie etwas zu alle 3 Punkte, achten Sie auf den Textaufbau, Anrede, Anleitung, Reihenfolge der Inhaltspunkte, Entschluss. That last line is a marking point. They will check if you have Anrede, they will check if you have Anleitung, they will check if you have the correct Reihenfolge, means the sequence. You've started with beschreiben Sie, you've gone to begründen Sie, and you've gone to schlagen Sie Ihren Freund etwas vor. Note that you mix them. You must go with that order in this tile 1. So, in the tile 1, what is expected is first the Anrede. There we always go with Liebe if it's a female, or Lieber if it's a male. Or Hallo applies for both. Anleitung now is the introduction. There is part of greetings. Wie geht es dir? Remember the V, the W must be small. Wie geht es dir or wie geht es Ihnen? Ich hoffe, es geht Ihnen gut oder es geht dir gut. Or ich hoffe, es geht das bei dir or bei Ihnen es gut geht. So that is just a greeting. Mir geht es auch gut. Then you start with the Anleitung. You can start maybe by saying, you can pull your Anleitung from here. Here is where you can pull it from. How do you do it? You are writing as you, as I. So always start by changing this Z to ich. Ich habe, then Ihrem Freund there, don't paraphrase that. Now you are writing your friend. Ich habe dich or ich habe dir. Ich habe dich lange nicht geschrieben, weil ich einen Unfall hatte und im Krankenhaus bin. So you change everything to ich form. You change everything to ich form. Then you just pull your Anleitung from there. Everything to ich form. Then you just pull your Anleitung from there.
Hello, Jonathan. Looks like we lost him. Let's give him a bit of time to just come back and finish what he was explaining. So let's give him a bit of time to just figure out the technical hitch on his side and so for those who are currently in class, you'll be able to get this in your learning portal. And yeah, you'll be able to access it from there. For those who are not in class with us yet and would like to join our classes, we have a class that is starting on May 11th. And this is a good opportunity for you guys to start your German classes. For the nurses who want to go to Germany, this is a good time to start the classes, and also for the guys who are looking to go to Germany through the Ausbildung process. I think towards the end of the program, Jonathan will also share his experience with you guys and how he was able to move to Germany. So, someone is asking which level of language is needed for nurses. Nurses generally need a B1. That is when you can start the application process for your movement. And learning A1 will take you 2.5 months, A2, 2.5. For B1, that will take you also 2.5, but also the timing is subject to how comfortable you are or how quick you are with the language as well. So for the levels, A1 is 25,000, A2 is 25,000 as well. That is for an online class. And then B1 is 30,000 for online classes. We also have physical classes. You're able to attend Monday to Thursday at around 11 to 1 p.m. So, okay, I see we have an international audience, so I'm not able to give. So we have the local prices, translating it to the US dollar, that is 250 for A1, 250 USD for A2, and then 300 USD for B1, and then 400 for B2. That is if you're going to do it to B2. The people who require B2 are the people who are going to Germany to study and work. But for the nurses, generally, you'll require B1 to be able to move there. So let me check if Jonathan is back and see if he's able to continue with the session.
Okay, let's proceed. I think there are some connection problems. So I was explaining on the Schreiben, yeah? I think I was explaining on Schreiben on, yeah, on the Tyler Eins. So you have the Anleitung. After writing the Anleitung, and I say the Anleitung, you can derive it just from the question. From the question, you get the Anleitung. And now, after that, after the Anleitung, you come to the Beschreiben Sie, Beschreibung. There, look at the tense well. Confirm which tense is this question. Is it present tense? Is it past tense? Check the tense well so that now you be sure which tense am I writing in. If it is perfect, you want to use perfect, you want to use preteritum, the event is in past tense, then use the past tense. If the event is in present tense, use the present tense. There, those who are in B1 und B2, you know the zweiteilige Konnektoren. You know the nicht nur, sondern auch, the sowohl als auch. Those ones are needed to be part of your Schreiben. The adjective Deklination, the relative Satz, relative pronomen, those ones, all of them, they should be like for you to pass B1 Schreiben, you need to have B1 grammar. Don't write without a B1 grammar. You won't pass because someone marking, mostly even if you go and do the OSD exam, you can fail if you don't have B1 grammar. And the grammar that I'm putting stress on is the zweiteilige Konnektoren, relative pronomen, adjective Deklination, those ones, you must know how to use them. You must use them for you to score well. When it is Begründung, you've been told begründen Sie warum. A question with warum as B1 or A2 or even B2 student, you must be answering it with a conjunction. Weil, da, deshalb, deswegen, daher, damit, darum, or even the wegen, or even the word like aufgrund. Those ones now are used for giving the Begründung. You must give that Begründung. That is something that you must give. Another is empfehlen Sie. That is on the third point. You've been told empfehlen Sie, suggest something to someone. You want to suggest something. So when you are suggesting, there is what we use a certain grammar called conjunctive zwei. Conjunctive zwei, the könnten and the sollten. So könnten wir, you are empfehlen. Könntest du mir besuchen? Du solltest mir besuchen. Du könntest mir besuchen. So you are making a suggestion. The moment you use that conjunctive zwei, the examiner will know that here the person is answering the third point of giving suggestion. Then at last, you have the Schluss, the closing remarks. That is it. You've been told, bitte antwort mir schnell, bitte ruf mich an, ich freue mich auf deine Antwort oder ich freue mich auf deinen Anruf, then viele Grüße und so on. So that is it on the Schreiben Teil 1. What will be checked? The conjunctions. Which conjunctions are you using? Are they for B1? The zweiteilige Konnektoren, the tense of writing, the relative pronomen, adjective Deklination, the B1 verbs, like you wanted to use the word heute, instead you use now heutzutage to mean nowadays. The bekommen, and the synonym of bekommen is erhalten, besuchen, besichtigen, Marken, übernehmen, benutzen. You get another synonym like nutzen or verwenden. They check, are you alternating within verbs? You are exchanging the B1 verbs. When you do that, you will get a B1 schreiben very well. You will score well. So that is it on the Teil 1. Teil 1, that is what is expected. On the Teil 2, the Aufgabe 2 is always about Thema. You are writing about Thema. Here, it gives people headache, but it is also a very simple tile. In this Teil 2, first you must understand what the Thema is, what is needed. What is the meaning of that Thema? Then you come and read now the opinion of this person. The opinion of this person is also very important. It is not just there to be assumed. It is something you have to pay attention to. Teilzeitarbeit. So you read the opinion of that person and see, is this person supporting or this person is against Teilzeitarbeit? Then you can also come and formulate yours now, where now you are doing your writing. So here, you can say, das Thema, if it was like Teilzeitarbeit, das Thema Teilzeitarbeit finde ich sehr interessant, daher muss ich meine Meinung äußern. You must always have Anleitung. Then you proceed by saying maybe, ich stimme mit, the person whose name is there. If it was Lukas, ich stimme mit Lukas zu, dass, you are agreeing, or ich stimme nicht. You can either agree with that person or you don't agree with that person. So it depends on which side you want to take. Ich stimme mit Lukas nicht, dass, where are you not agreeing with Lukas? What has Lucas said that you are agreeing with Lucas? What has Lucas said that you are not agreeing on with Lucas? You write on that point. And now when you are agreeing with Lucas on that point, you give yourself your own example. Your own example, you can use your personal experience. You can use experience you learned from someone. You can collect different experiences you put here. After saying you are agreeing with Lucas or you are not agreeing with Lucas, on which point and why. That is it. After that, you come to the advantage and the disadvantages of this Teilzeitarbeit. If Teilzeitarbeit was the theme, come to the advantage and the disadvantages of this Teilzeitarbeit. There, you can use conjunctions like the einerseits and andererseits. In one hand, on the other hand. Zwar aber, entweder oder. Those are now what is needed when you are writing this Teil 2. After writing the advantage and disadvantage, you finish now by saying your opinion. After writing the advantage and disadvantage, you will finish by, now you generalize, you put your opinion there. You started by disagreeing with Lucas, but now we can't assume that that is your opinion. You've talked about the advantage and disadvantage. Then now what is your opinion? Do you say that Teilzeitarbeit is good or Teilzeitarbeit ist nicht gut? When you are saying Teilzeitarbeit is nicht gut, meaning that even on the advantages, you give less advantages than the disadvantages. When you are saying Teilzeitarbeit is good and people should do Teilzeitarbeit, meaning that you give more advantages than disadvantages. So what I'm saying in short is, when you are writing on the Teil 2, when you are writing the advantage and the disadvantage, we call them Vorteil und Nachteil. When you've written many Vorteil than Nachteil, When you have many advantage than the disadvantage, meaning that already you are supporting that theme, you are in agreement with it. When you are disagreeing, when you are not supporting, meaning your disadvantages will be many. Something that you are not supporting, you have many disadvantage about it than the advantages. That is what happens. And after that, now is when you come and say, meine Meinung nach ist, then you say your Meinung. You say your opinion. So after that, you are just done. So this writing is always simple. You start with the Anleitung. Das Thema Teilzeitarbeit finde ich interessant, daher muss ich meine Meinung äußern. Then you go whether you are agreeing with that person or you are not agreeing with the person and on which point, and you give now examples why you are agreeing with this person or why you are not agreeing with this person, where I've said you collect your experience, different experience, put them together and write the advantage and disadvantages, and after that you write your opinion, and that is it. So Teil 2 is always as simple as that, in that order. I hope we are together up to there. I hope we are together up to there. Good. So that is on the Teil 2. That is on the Teil 2. Then Teil 3 or the Aufgabe 3, it is always a formal brief or formal email. It is always 40 words. It is just a formal. Always it will be formal. It can't be informal. Always it is formal. So here, the Anrede is either sehr geehrte Frau, or if it is a male, sehr geehrter Herr, so and so. If you are not given the name of the person, it's always sehr geehrte Damen und Herren. Always Anleitung, you must have Anleitung. And just like I said in the first one, Anleitung, you just pull it here. From this statement is where you get the Anleitung. Ich habe in einem Hotel ein Einzelzimmer gebucht. Or you can just start directly by saying, ich schreibe Ihnen, weil, or ich schreibe Ihnen da. You just go directly to the point. Here there is no greetings. If you've been told start by thanking the person, start by saying, vielen Dank für Ihre Einladung or für die Überlegung, or ich möchte mich sehr höflich an Dash bedanken. It should be fewer. Fewer Dash bedanken. So it depends. Some Teil 3 always tells you start by saying thanks. Start by saying thanks. I have not spoken about A1. I'm just in B1 schreiben. A1 is always informal. Schreiben is always informal. Sometimes it can be formal. The schreiben for A1 is, it depends. It's around writing of 20 to 30 words. So it's different. The one I'm handling, I've been handling the one for B1, the B1. So this is not the one for A1. This is the B1, which has 3 parts. I've done the Teil 1, Teil 2, and the Teil 3. So, ich möchte mich sehr höflich für das bedanken. If it is Entschuldigung, some can be told, entschuldigen Sie sich. So there you must use höflich, words that are höflich. Es tut mir wirklich leid. Es tut mir echt leid. Es tut mir sehr leid. Or entschuldigen Sie bitte. Or leider muss ich mich entschuldigen. Da or weil and so on. Then you must state the Grund des Fehlens. Sometimes you missed a meeting, you've been told to give a reason. Those are now some of the examples of what can be needed in the Teil 3 of Schreiben of B1. The Grund des Fehlens, you can pick up some reasons and you just come up with a reason. Writing is about being creative. Writing is not about being factual. There is no one who will be saying this thing that you've written here is false. No, writing is just about being creative. Whether it is false or correct, we are just marking the structure, the grammar, what you've written. Nothing like you need to be factual. Nothing like mostly the B1, the Teil 2, when you're talking about Thema, you don't need to be factual. That is your Meinung. Your opinion is correct. Whether it is wrong or right, opinion is always richtig. So always in writing is just about creative, being creative. Not that now you fear, you say, I don't have points. Always in writings, you must always have points because it is just a matter of being creative. Then after writing that, we always have the Schlusssatz. So meaning in the both emails, they have Anrede, the Hauptteil, and Schlusssatz. And Schlusssatz or the Schluss is where now you have maybe like, ich wäre Ihnen sehr dankbar, wenn wir einen Termin vereinbaren könnten. That is in case you wanted to organize einen Termin. Or vielen Dank im Voraus. Vielen Dank für Ihr Verständnis, something like that. Then you finish with mit freundlichen Grüßen. This one is very important. Mit freundlichen Grüßen. Here you don't use viele Grüße. Here it is mit freundlichen Grüßen, and that is it. So Schreiben of B1. It is something that needs you to do practice, but on a weekly, those who are in B1, make sure whether you are in a school, whether you are learning it online, every week you must do a Schreiben. 2 or 3, or even 5 in a week. That one will improve your Schreiben. Schreiben and Sprechen are those now exam parts that when you are going to sit for exams, for them, they are very difficult to fail when you already know what is expected. What are you going to do? There are those points that you just need to have some Redemittel. What do I mean with Redemittel? You just need to read more Schreibens that have been written so that you find more phrases. So you go with phrases. The phrases will help you now to fill in these 80 words that are needed. So in the B1 make sure it is something you do practice on every now and then. That is it. So I think I've touched something on the B1. A question? A question on the B1 now. Okay, so just in general, those who are in B2, you find you can't speak. It is because, so Schreiben B1 has 3 parts. Yeah, Schreiben B1 has 3 parts. That is it. The B2 has 2 parts. So in B2, and you can't talk, it is because you depend much on translating from English. And those ones also who are in B1, stop translating from English if you want to speak. Trust yourself. Just speak. No one started with being perfect. Even for those who speak it perfectly, no one started with being perfect straight away. Everyone starts from making mistakes. But when you make mistakes and you realize the mistakes and you correct them, that is how you improve. So always talking. Speak even to yourself. And I said, every time you are doing something, say it. Every time you are doing something, say it. then you will realize you improve. For those who are in maybe ASVI going onwards, don't depend on Duolingo in speaking. The Duolingo cannot help you in speaking from ASVI going onwards. You will realize it is very slow. So for the speaking, it is something that you can practice on your own by saying what you do. If you are in B2, B1, the grammar plays a very big role. How do you find that someone, you do the same exam, you do the same expression with someone, you find someone, even your partner whom you did expression with, is getting 90 and you can get even 50. Why? Because maybe that person was speaking like a B1 student. For you, you are not speaking like B1 student. And that is where grammar comes in. Grammar plays a very big role. There is how when you speak, even when you do your introduction, I just know your level because of the grammar that you are going to use. So for B1, B2, if you want to improve in Sprechen and Schreiben, more so for the aim of passing the exam, then you have to work on your grammar very perfectly. You have to make your grammar to be perfect. The grammar is what makes the difference. The grammar is what makes the difference. So for someone to know this is A1, this is A2, B1, A1, it is only the grammar that makes that difference. That is it. Okay, so let me take now questions that I respond to before we conclude on that. Questions.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
One question just for an overall question. Most of these people are doing the language to move out. So if you could go ahead and give them like an overview of what your transition was from Kenya to Germany, and also if you went through any program and how you ended up there, that would really be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, so the transition is something, first I said, a journey that needs patience. First is working on the language so that you attain the B2. After attaining the B2, now it opens for you the doors of opportunities. What you need Ausbildung. If you need Ausbildung, you apply for the Ausbildung. And with the Ausbildung, you learn, you get paid, and at least you can support yourself a little bit in Germany, and now you don't have much stress. And in that transition is something not very difficult. It depends. You can get some people, some employer will pay for you everything, some will not pay, so it depends. It is not I cannot say, because now maybe things have changed than 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I came. So things have really changed. So for now, I think the process may be a little bit different because now many people are scrambling for these opportunities. Many people are scrambling for this to learn this language. You see when there is pressure in booking the exams. When I used to book exam, it was very simple, no pressure. But nowadays, many people need them. So what you need to do is you just give your efforts. Don't give up. And when you are done with the B2, you apply for Ausbildung, you get to Germany. The first 2 months, it will take you time still to be adapting because maybe even when you come here with B2, the language will still be a challenge for the first 1 or 2 months because you are not used that every conversation is German. You are used to speaking German by yourself. So when you get to German now, people speaking to you, everything, it's like listening to Hören full day. So, and now you need to respond in these cases. So the first 2, 3 months will just be adapting, but after 5 months, you are settled well, you can move well in the system, you can speak, you can understand, you can express yourself well, you have no fear, and it is just that good. It is always good. So, someone has said, I thought the presentation was on Sprechen part. Yes, presentation is also on Sprechen part. Presentation is also on Sprechen part. Schreiben, that is just writing about Thema. That is not presentation. That is writing about Thema. It is not presentation. So any other general question, maybe someone has a question you want to ask.
So I think we might not get so many questions, Mr. Jonathan, because you've been answering them as you went along with the presentation. But I think, yeah, you can answer that and then we can go ahead and.
Okay. So someone is asking how to master A2 grammar. It's a little bit difficult. A2 grammar is very simple. You only need to learn how to use conjunction, connecting words. So you don't need to master, but to practice. Now, for you to master the A2 grammar, you just need practice. And in this case, start with the conjunctions, those that are connecting words, you connect easily. So with the vocabularies, in A2, you don't need many vocabularies. You just need those ones that you had in the R1s. So that is it. Can someone start from B1? You can't start from B1. You must start from A1. Starting from B1 is like starting to build a house from the roof without the foundation. A1 is the foundation, A2 is the foundation. So you can't skip and start from B1. Can someone move with B1s for nurses? Yes, you can move with B1s, but for you to be a full nurse, you need B2. So it's better you learn the B2 in Kenya because here is very expensive to learn the B2 and to do the exam. So it's better you get done in Kenya, then you come. But when you come with B1s, you can experience, you can start like an assistant. So your pay will not be good, maybe for 1 year. But if you come with B2, your pay will be good after 3 months, 3 to 6 months, you are a full nurse. So B1 is possible, but it can give you difficulty because you will still need the B2. So for those who are just starting, can we be helped to understand the basic first? So maybe, for starting, it's a little different. If it was someone who is starting, then this one was a mixed class, yeah? So it was maybe of just tips of learning. So it's mainly for those who had learned. For those who are starting, maybe if another one is organized, then you see maybe how we start. Because for someone who is starting, we need to start from somewhere, maybe like pronunciation and so on. So the level that we are learning today, it was because the class had even those who are in B2, so it was just general. So someone saying I've gone along, so good. Duolingo, when you reach in R2, ASVI, then Duolingo is slower. So always you can use also YouTube, use much of YouTube, it will help you. Which programs easier to get Ausbildung? The Ausbildung easier to get maybe are for hotel and nursing. Those are a little bit easier. But the others, they can take you time. You can apply, but you can take even 2 years still applying to get because there are very few slots. They don't need many people like in hotel and the nursing. For truck driving, which level? For truck driving, I think some need B1, some need B2. So it depends with the employer. It depends with the employer. Someone is asking how many months can take process from learning the language up to transition, as well as the cost, and as every African citizen open for this program. Yeah. So it can take you maybe 8 to 14 months, let me say. Learning language can take you up to 8 months. The process can take again 6 months. So it depends, but it can take maybe 1.5 years. It depends. It can take maybe 1.5 years. If you are someone who is lucky, it can take less. So it's not a must. It takes that 1.5. Can take even less. And yeah, the programs are opened for Africans. The programs are opened for Africans. Yeah, I said one can study nursing and you are paid because it is the one called Ausbildung. And the age limit for Ausbildung is up to 35 to 38, between 35, 38 there, but 35 mostly is the age limit for Ausbildung. But up to, some agree even up to 42. So it depends on the employer. Any beginner-friendly movies, go and watch the Nikos Veg. Nico. It's just Nico. Nikos Veg. You will enjoy it. It's a beginner movie. It is from A1 up to B1. Then can someone having B2 with grade less than, say, be a nurse through Ausbildung? C minus or D plus can be considered. C minus or D plus can be considered with B2, yeah. Then how long does the cert take to expire? The certificate, the B2 can be a little bit longer. B2 can take you even up to over 1 year. But B1, 6 months there, the embassy will not need it because 6 months is enough for you to learn B2. So with the B1, it's maybe 6 months. The A1, A2, also those are 6 months. But B1 takes 1 year to expire, but the embassy needs that the one that is not more than 6 months old. Yeah, the passcode, if you reach passcode, if you need something on getting Ausbildung and so on, just contact the number given there and you will get enough information on how to get the Ausbildung and the fee and so on. So that is it. Any other question? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so when you can get with the nursing, that background in operation theater technology will be an added advantage. Yeah, it can help. So Malengo program, I don't have idea. So if someone is asking if my cert expires, then my interview with the embassy takes much time. No, that when you have already submitted it to the embassy, if it expires when it is there, no problem. That is not your problem. It is their problem. Then which exam is better, OSD or GOTE? B1, those both exams are better. GOTE is a little bit lenient than OSD. In OSD, you need to be sharp with it, but they are just the same. But with B2 exams, GOTE is better. GOTE is better with the B2 exams, better than OSD. Will we have another session apart from this? We will organize and see, and it will be announced again. You will get. Yeah. Yeah, you've been told on the questions of employers and everything, just contact the office, passcode there, you will be answered well. About different house building, we have, like I said, the house buildings that I will talk about is those ones that are easier to get. Let me not tell you that, yes, there are house building in ICT and so on, but you can take time and apply, but it is very difficult to get. They take time for you to get this house building. So it takes time. It takes time. So with the house buildings that are there, maybe nursing, you can get it easily. And also um, the one for hotel, that one also you can get it easily. So those two are good. You can get them easily than the others. The others also you can get, but they need a lot of patience. They need a lot of time. You can do exam in B1 or in B2. You don't need to do after every module. The challenges, nursing salary is good. It's around maybe 2,700 euros to 3,000 euros. Maybe challenges is maybe that there are not many workers. Sometimes work can be many. Maybe things to do with maybe racism are very little. I've never experienced racism. People ask about that, but it's very, very, very few. So on the challenges, maybe the weather and less people. So someone is asking which driving school that offers licenses recognized international. I think it is AA. AA driving school offers the international drivers. AA offers that. AA offers that. Yeah, driving license is needed when you want to do driving. And what level is needed for medical officers for exam? Or maybe if you say which level, yeah, maybe. Can you also take vet? No, vet, I think vet is not easy to get. Vet is not easy to get. Driving license only needed for those who want to do drivers. Yes, for medical, for doctors, it is C1. For doctors, it is C1, not even B2. For doctors, it is C1. But some people will take with B2. So you can be lucky with B2, but C1. Medical officers, C1, but B2, you can be lucky. With B2, you can be lucky. Mm-hmm.
So, thank you so much, everyone. I see you have so many questions for Mr. Jonathan here. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for this session. I think this was a really good, informative session. Our only enemy here is time. So, I would have loved to have this session continue and you give the answers since you already have done the practical bit of everything here. So, yes, there's that. And I think this was a really good session. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for coming. Thank you for making time to join us and speak to us about the German classes and also the general overview of life in Germany. Is there anything that you will want to give them as a last bit of this session? Hi, Jonathan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Is there any bit that you'd like, last bit that you'd like to tell them or let them know before we end the session?
I just want to wish them well in learning the language. Just be persistent, just work hard, you will make it. And see you guys in Germany.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. So Jonathan is one of our tutors. He's already there. So if you end up doing a class with us at one level or another, you'll be able to interact with him. You've seen how good of a session he has done. And for each and every one of you, I trust you've also gotten the answers to the questions that you had. And yes, if you need more information, please reach out to us on the number that I shared. And also, you can follow us on our socials. You can visit us physically at our offices in KTDA, Nairobi, and we'll be able to assist you. So currently we have a German class that is coming up in May. So if you're interested in starting your German classes with us, you can please reach out to us and we will have you enrolled. And for those who want to take it a step further and move to Germany, we will also take you through the Ausbildung process for the people who qualify. And also for nurses, we'll also take you through the process of getting a job and employed there. So you don't need to be worried. At Passcode, you are in safe hands. Today's session is part of the commitment to give you information, tools, and confidence that you need to take um, your next step with. So thank you for being here, and we're excited to support you in your journey. Please, for more information about the specific industries and pathways that you'd love, please reach out to us and we'll be able to assist you. For those who want to visit us, we are located at KTDA Plaza, fourth floor. You'll be able to find us there. You'll be taken through the process and also be given more information on how you go about your process. So this was one of the sessions that we organized. We will have more like this. So please look out for such events and classes and webinars so that you're able to attend. This is not on a regular basis, really. This is done weekly at most. Sometimes you get it once a month, and we were lucky to have Jonathan take us through this session and also give us a bit of what the process and the moving process is like. So I think you've all picked a thing or two from this. And thank you so much, Jonathan, for your time. Thank you so much. Would love to see you here again. So I think the next time we are having one, we can reach out to you again to take us through these sessions. So once we have that in plan, at least we can share dates and give you the next time. So just watch out for the updates that we will have on our socials or on our WhatsApp, or if you're in any of our groups, you'll also be getting these updates. For that, that was the session for today. Thank you so much, each and everyone. Thank you, and you have a good evening. Enjoy.
Good.